While some injuries and unfortunate life events can put you in eternal misery, engineers, doctors, and scientists worldwide are rapidly working to develop ways to lessen the pain of the despairing mankind and make their seemingly wretched lives a little more tolerable. Today, we'll tell you about a miraculous startup that just kickstarted 3D printing bionic arms for Ukrainians injured in the atrocious Ukraine-Russian conflict. Although medicine has brought about groundbreaking discoveries and healed humanity in several ways, some wounds and disabilities cannot simply be cured solely through medicine. That's where engineers and the most brilliant of minds step in. Artificial intelligence is not only revolutionizing the field of medicine, but also taking prosthetic arm control to an unbelievable level of advancement in hopes of enabling disabled individuals to live a normal life again. How is this marvel of science going to transform lives and give hope to the devastated ones? Let's find out. Death isn't the worst fathomable phenomenon one can encounter as a human. Survival isn't any less painful. It is very common for war survivors to have sustained second and third degree burns, broken bones, shrapnel wounds, brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, nerve damage, paralysis, loss of sight and hearing, post-traumatic stress disorder, and limb loss. While there have been hundreds of thousands of harrowing casualties as the brutal consequences of the barbaric Russian invasion of Ukraine, there have been numerous brave survivors too. However, thousands and thousands of soldiers as well as innocent people have been severely injured as they became the ill-fated targets of vicious bombings, open fires, and drone attacks. A plethora of people survived, but they lost their limbs and cannot imagine living a hassle-free life again. Having witnessed the bloodbath, hunger, loss of loved ones, displacement, and life hysterically tumbling downhill in general, losing your vital body parts and becoming dependent on other people is certainly adding insult to injury. Ferocious events like these leave an impact engraved deep in the minds of the witnesses and scar the survivors forever, both physically and mentally. However, according to the outstanding quote by Rumi, wounds are the places where the light enters you. Desperately clinging to hope is the only way to keep your sanity intact during adversity. At dire times like these, the privileged and kind-hearted should step up and rescue their grief-stricken brothers and sisters, which they do. History is full of heroes who had nothing to offer but benevolence, sympathy, and compassion. One such example is Unlimited Tomorrow, a prosthetic startup which launched True Limb 2 years ago and plans to extend its services to the war zone of Ukraine. It would be incorrect to say that True Limb is the future of prosthetics. It is basically a bionic arm. Let's first understand what bionic really is. Bionics, or biologically inspired engineering, is a modern field of engineering whereby engineers study and work on biological methods and systems found in nature to design artificial engineering systems and modern technology. It is also the study of mechanical systems that function like living organisms or parts of living organisms. Bionics is a much more evolved form of cybernetics. Put simply, cybernetics is a field concerned with relating the way machines communicate, connect, control, and receive information to similar processes in real-life systems. We all have heard about prosthetics. Prosthetics are artificial devices that act as a substitute for a missing body part. These life-changing instruments have been in use for quite some time. So, how does a bionic arm differ from the prosthetics we know of? The primary difference between a bionic arm and prosthetics is that bionic limbs are artificial limbs that work using signals from their users' muscles to move quite effortlessly, while prosthetic limbs are artificial limbs that require the user's body power to move. Before proceeding, here we would like to reflect briefly on the intriguing history of prosthetics. The earliest known prosthesis astonishingly dates back to 950 BC. A prosthetic hand made out of wood with its components wound together with leather threads was found on the mummified body of an Egyptian noblewoman in Cairo. Much other earliest evidence of prosthetics was found in ancient Egypt and Iran, confirming how the prosthesis is quite primitive. Fast forward to the 20th century when the first bionic arm came into being. David Gow invented the first bionic arm when a BBC television program, Tomorrow's World, ignited in him a passion for designing robotics and experimenting on electrically powered artificial limbs. Having studied engineering and making decisions for bionics, Gow quit his job and became fully committed to bionics. In August 1998, Campbell Aird was fitted with the world's first bionic arm at the Princess Margaret Rose Hospital. It was controlled by electronic microsensors, something dubbed witchcraft to those who couldn't comprehend Gau's marvelous invention. Weighing 1.8 kilograms, the metal and plastic creation was lighter than a natural arm and much easier to use than those that preceded it. Contemporary bionic arms are intuitive artificial limbs that use cutting-edge technology to correlate with the body. They use special sensors to pick up and convert naturally generated electrical signals from muscles into movement. Bionic arms are custom built to fit the residual limb of a particular person, and their sensors are specifically calibrated to the user's strongest muscle signals. Bionic limbs are a significant breakthrough in the world of prosthetics. Unlimited Tomorrow has exerted 6 years of research and development into True Limb, and hundreds of people in the United States have been able to make use of this affordable, non-invasive tool for replacing their limbs. Their next venture is to take the futuristic True Limb to Ukraine. It would not have been possible a couple of years ago, but digital technologies like 3D printing, scanning, and modeling are causing a reduction in the price of prosthetics, and they can now be taken anywhere in the world. To further talk about this life-altering project, we would like to shine light upon the history of Unlimited Tomorrow and its origins. Founded in 2014, the creator of Unlimited Tomorrow is Easton LaChapelle, who has always loved experimenting with robots and electronics. He taught himself robotics and building prosthetics since he was in grad school. In 2012, while presenting a robotic arm he built at the Colorado State Science Fair, he happened to interact with a young girl who had a prosthetic arm. Upon talking to her parents, he learned that the girl's prosthetic arm took years to build. It cost them $80,000 and would be useless after she outgrows it. LaChapelle realized what he needed to do, and he set out on endeavors to make better and cheaper prosthetics that wouldn't take too long to come into form. After less than 10 years, the genius of LaChapelle and his team successfully brought about the mind-blowing bionic arms that cost under $10,000 and are more responsive, lightweight, adaptable, and can be custom built without the user ever having to leave the comfort of their home. According to the United Nations, more than 6,500 civilians have been injured in war-torn Ukraine as of July. This includes hundreds of innocent children as well. The Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights believes the actual number of fatalities and injuries might be higher than the reported figures, as there are delays in incoming information and many reports are still pending corroboration. Savage explosive weapons that have a scattering effect, such as a shelling from heavy artillery, launch rocket systems, and missiles and airstrikes have resulted in the majority of gruesome deaths. Amongst the survivors and wounded are a handful, many of those who lose their limbs in these lethal explosions. Unlimited Tomorrow has joined hands with Singularity Hub, an enterprise that guides leaders to flourish their businesses and intends to make technology accessible for everyone. Singularity Hub helps entrepreneurial leaders harness the power of exponential technologies to build sustainable businesses and improve the lives of people and the health of the planet. They aim to drive industries that have the potential of creating a meaningful social impact on billions of lives across the globe. Unlimited Tomorrow and Singularity Hub have partnered to raise $1 million to provide the war victims with prosthetic arms, with one piece costing $10,000. A GoFundMe campaign was initiated earlier this month that aims to help deliver prosthetic arms to 100 wounded Ukrainians. How do these prosthetics function, and how would they reach those in need? People who need prosthetics contact the company, and Unlimited Tomorrow sends them a prosthetic 3D scanner that they can use to scan their residual limb. The collected data is used by the company to design a set of test sockets. A socket is a piece that links the residual limb with the prosthetic. The set is then mailed to the user for trial. The user tests out different sockets by wearing each of them to figure out which one is the most comfortable. Via a video meeting, the user gives the company feedback about the test sockets and selects their skin tone from a swatch that offers 450 options. Unlimited Tomorrow then 3D prints and assembles the custom prosthetic and ships it to the client after running various tests. A durable material known as P12 nylon is used to print the socket, forearm, palm, and fingers of the prosthetic arm. Batteries, electronics, sensors, nuts and bolts are not 3D printed. Up to 36 sensors are arranged and fixed inside the socket. Each sensor is calibrated to the user's muscle sites, which pick up muscle movements at a higher resolution than the industry standard. These sensors read signals from nerves in the upper arm that control movements such as the bending of fingers. These signals are then translated into practical actions and motions. The hands have independent finger joints and 6 types of adaptive grips that conform to objects a user comes in contact with. Sense of touch is imitated by subtle vibrations that serve as feedback to let the user know when their arm makes contact with something. As humane and generous as this initiative sounds, it still needs a lot of work and support. Although it would not be doable at all if the prosthetics were still priced at $100,000 a piece. However, ensuring the sustainability of such a project is not an easy task. Keeping the costs low and the quality of the prosthetics maintained, ways to make shipment much more convenient, and easy accessibility for everyone everywhere are concerns that need to be addressed and the solutions consistently strived for. Nevertheless, humanitarian causes like aiding those suffering from the present-day Ukrainian-Russian conflict afflictions are worth all the struggle. Can a more durable and cheaper material be used for the making of these prosthetics? Is it possible to access 3D printers locally? How can users get their hands on replacement parts? Will children need more than one prosthetic as they grow? All these questions need to be pondered on and answered. Doubtlessly, time will unfold the future of prosthetics.